Imagine discovering a secret that could change an entire community, something hidden in plain sight, quietly shaping lives behind closed doors. Today, we dive deep into the story of a little girl, a silent office, and an HOA truth no one expected. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Black Inside USA for more emotional, dramatic real-life inspired stories. The city above the clouds. The sky over Brookline Heights always carried a soft blue glow in the early morning. The city rose beneath it like a polished jewel, tall buildings reflecting the sun, wide glass windows showing glimpses of people whose lives moved fast, and streets where everything happened with a certain rhythm. Among these buildings was the Royal Crest Tower, where the top floor belonged to Elias Ward, a well-known property developer and the current chair of the Brookline Heights Homeowners Association, better known as the HOA. Elias wasn't the usual kind of business leader. He was calm, thoughtful, with a strong sense of responsibility toward the residents. The community admired him, some even depended on him, but they didn't know that behind the polished meetings and smooth announcements, there was tension simmering within the HOA board. Elias didn't know it either. Not yet. Some truths arrive quietly, some arrive whispered, and this one would arrive through a child, the housekeeper's daughter. Every afternoon, Lila, a cheerful 7-year-old with bright eyes and a floral green dress, came with her mother, Miriam, who worked as a housekeeper in the Royal Crest Tower. Lila often spent those hours drawing in the lobby or sitting quietly near the office aquarium, watching colorful fish glide through the water. She was comfortable there, everyone knew her, everyone smiled at her, no one saw her as a threat, and certainly, no one imagined she would witness something meant to stay unseen. It happened on a Tuesday, a regular Tuesday. Miriam was cleaning one of the upstairs offices while Lila wandered toward the HOA meeting room, an area usually quiet at that hour. She liked looking through the glass wall at the long, polished table and neatly arranged folders. To her, it all looked like a big puzzle adults never finished. But today was different. The door was slightly open. Voices whispered inside. Curious, she stepped closer, just enough to see. 2 board members stood over the meeting table, and one of them quickly switched 2 folders that had name labels on the front. He didn't replace papers, he switched entire folders. Then he said quietly, "It'll pass now, he won't notice." The other nodded, closing the door carefully. Lila slowly stepped back, her small heart thumping. She didn't fully understand what she saw, but she knew it wasn't right. The whisper. Later that day, Elias was reviewing documents in his office, blueprints, budget sheets, everything he needed for the evening's HOA vote. His calm focus made him seem almost carved from stone. Then he heard small footsteps, a gentle tug on his sleeve. "Mr. Elias, I saw something," Lila whispered. He looked at her gently, lowering himself to her height. "What did you see, Lila?" Her voice was soft, shaky, but sincere. "I saw them switch the folders." He blinked. "Switch folders? Where?" "In the meeting room. 2 men, they switched them on purpose." Her innocence carried no agenda. Her eyes held no deception. Adults may hide their truths, but children rarely do. Elias felt a quiet jolt in his chest, a sense that the foundation beneath everything might be shifting. "Thank you for telling me," he said gently. That was very brave. He told her nothing more. He didn't want to worry her. But inside, the gears of concern turned. The evening's vote, the developments proposed, the financial plans, everything depended on the integrity of those documents. If folders had been switched, someone was trying to influence the outcome. And that meant the community was at risk. A quiet search for truth. Elias couldn't confront anyone yet. He had no proof other than the word of a child, one he trusted but one the board might dismiss. So he waited until the building quieted. After hours, the HOA office looked different. Calm, dim, almost thoughtful. He went through the folders one by one, carefully, comparing each to the digital versions stored in encrypted files. And then he saw it. The project proposal for Greenline Park expansion, a community improvement plan he strongly supported, had been replaced with a different version that removed several important parts, including funding for family areas. In its place was a proposal favoring a private contractor who had been trying to push his way into Brookline Heights for months. Someone wanted the vote to go in a different direction. Someone had tried to blindside him. But why? And how many people were involved? The hidden agenda. The next morning, the HOA board gathered in the meeting room. The air felt calm, but Elias sensed the ripple of tension beneath it, a current flowing quietly. Everyone sat down. Gregory, the treasurer, Calvin, the vice chair, Leon, who oversaw community events, and Henry, the newest member, who always seemed too confident. Elias placed the switched folder on the table. "We need to discuss something before we vote," he said, a few eyebrows raised. "I reviewed the documents last night," Elias continued, "and I found differences between the files we approved last week and the ones on this table." Silence. Gregory shifted uncomfortably. Calvin looked confused. Henry's jaw tightened, just slightly. "What kind of differences?" Leon asked. Elias opened the folder, sliding a comparison printout across the table. "This version removes the community park additions," he said calmly. "This version supports a contractor who has been trying to secure work through back channels." Calvin frowned. "But that's not what we agreed on." "Exactly," Elias replied, "and yet, this is the folder prepared for today's vote." His voice remained composed, but firm, like a quiet storm about to gather strength. Henry cleared his throat. "Maybe it was just a mistake. A mistake that required switching two folders?" Elias asked, his eyes steady. Henry didn't answer. In that silence, the truth began to show itself, not through confession but through discomfort. The vote was postponed, the board left unsettled, and Elias knew he needed to go deeper. Someone had tried to slip something past him, and past the entire community. And it wasn't an accident. A child's courage. That afternoon, Elias found Lila sitting in the lobby again, drawing pictures of the fish she always watched. He kneeled beside her. "Lila," he said softly, "you helped protect the community today." She smiled shyly. "Did I help? You did more than you know." He didn't overwhelm her with details. He didn't place adult burdens on her small shoulders. He simply gave her gratitude, the kind she could understand. And in return, she gave him something he didn't expect. "Mr. Elias," she whispered again, "I think they meet at night sometimes." "I heard them last week too." He blinked. This went deeper than one folder. Her small voice had uncovered a larger picture, a quiet pattern he needed to explore. The night meeting. 2 nights later, Elias stayed late again, this time intentionally. He turned off the lights, sat in the dim glow of the fireplace down the hall, and waited. Near midnight, soft footsteps echoed, voices whispered near the conference room. He stood, slowly, moving just close enough to hear Henry's voice. "If he finds out, the vote won't pass." Another voice. Gregory's. "We just need one more adjustment." A third voice. "Calvin, we shouldn't be doing this." Henry hissed quietly. "If we don't, we lose the contract. We lose everything." Elias stepped forward, calm but unwavering. "No," he said, his voice carrying across the polished floor. "You lose the trust of this community." The 3 men froze. Calvin looked ashamed. Gregory startled. Henry's expression hardened, caught, but still unyielding. "You shouldn't be here," Henry murmured. "And you shouldn't be altering community decisions behind closed doors," Elias replied. "You've risked the integrity of everything we stand for." Silence followed, not anger, not shouting, just truth, truth that had finally stepped into the light. The board reforms. The following week, Elias gathered the full HOA board in the residential committee. He did not mention Lila, he protected her entirely, but he presented the findings clearly and professionally. Henry was removed from the board with a unanimous vote. Gregory stepped down voluntarily. Calvin remained, but under review, committed to regaining trust. Elias introduced new transparency protocols, open access digital records, public meeting minutes, community voting previews, oversight from resident volunteers. Brookline Heights began to change, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, and all because a child whispered the truth, a thank you meant from the heart. A week later, Elias invited Miriam and Lila to a small ceremony in the tower lobby. The community had gathered, not for a grand award, but a heartfelt acknowledgement. Lila held her mother's hand, shy but curious. Elias knelt beside her once more. "This community is safer because of your honesty," he said warmly. He handed her a small certificate with colorful borders. Community Helper Award. Lila's smile lit up the room, and the residents applauded, not because she was extraordinary, but because she was brave in the most ordinary, pure way. Sometimes truth arrives in quiet whispers. Sometimes heroes are small, and sometimes a community's future is protected by the simplest act. A child telling the truth to someone who cared enough to listen. A community renewed. Months passed, and Brookline Heights flourished. The Green Line Park expansion moved forward, bringing families new places to gather. The HOA regained trust, becoming stronger than ever. Elias often looked around during community events, grateful for peace that now felt sincere, not manufactured. He saw Lila playing with other children near the fountain, her laughter echoing across the plaza. And he smiled, because everything changed the moment she whispered,